Ilya Ponomarev is a Russian-Ukrainian politician who was a member of the Russian State Duma from 2007 rather to 2016. After the 2022 Russian invasion, Ponomarev joined Ukraine's territorial defense forces and categorically denounced the invasion. While a member of the Russian State Duma, he was the only deputy not to vote in favor of the Russian gay propaganda law and to vote against Russia's annexation of Crimea in March 2014. He is now in exile in Ukraine and is a spokesman with the insurgent Russian forces, the National Republican Army, fighting on the side of Ukraine. Welcome to Silicon Curtain. Please like, subscribe, and definitely add your comments to the video. Positive and negative comments help to drive it in the algorithm and help people to discover the excellent speakers who've donated their time to help build awareness of Ukraine's cause. Please do also check out the validated Ukrainian charities, especially the ones that are supporting rebuilding efforts and are working with veterans suffering from PTSD. Ilya, thank you so much for coming back onto the channel.
Hello, Jonathan, and thanks for having me. Always my pleasure.
Let's start with, I mean, people are going to think we're going to start with the foreign aid package, but no, we're going to start with a high-profile arrest of Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov. Does this signal Shoigu's waning influence at the Kremlin, or is it the start of something far more serious, a potential civil war of the so-called elites?
No, I think that's rather an indication of the processes that are there anyway. Obviously, it would mean a certain disruption of the operations of Ministry of Defense. That's why it's good, and this is something where we played a certain role in providing the information that triggered the process for the Russian side. But at the end of the day, it's an indication of internal struggle within Kremlin's clans. Many people anticipate that after 7th of May, when there would be a Putin's inauguration, there would be certain changes inside the Russian government. Some even predict that they may change the prime minister, although I don't believe in this. But still, clans are fighting for their influence, and Timur Ivanov, he belonged to a very powerful, actually the most powerful clans around Putin, clan of Yuri Kovalchuk, his personal friend and his personal wallet for many years from St. Petersburg to this clan. There are numerous prominent figures who belong to, like Sergei Kiriyenko, the top political boss of the Kremlin, and Sergei Shoigu is part of the same clan, and Timur Ivanov was one of the important business units of that clan. And obviously, these guys, they are pushing one of members of Kovalchuk family. They promote him to be if not the prime minister, then one of the vice prime ministers of the current government. And their adversaries are primarily Nikolai Patrushev, the current secretary of the Defense Council and former FSB chief, who wants his son to become the prime minister, who is current minister of agriculture in Russia. And so that's a clash between them. So Patrushev is shooting on one of the most influential people from the adversary clan. And formally, they are saying that the charges are about corruption, but corruption is something that everybody is used to in Russian government. It's actually the method of how they govern. The actual data that was delivered to Putin hinted on a potential treason on behalf of Ivanov, and that's why Putin personally gave the order to go ahead and arrest him. So it's all good that it happened, but we should, I think, correctly understand the nature of those processes. Don't have any wrong expectations that are associated with this. But the more cases like this, the weaker is the regime, the more loose are the connections between its main pieces, and the closer is our victory.
I mean, that was going to be my question, whether corruption is a complete red herring. You've definitely answered that. Treachery is a far worse crime within the system. But there's been some especially bad takes on this, which you'd expect perhaps from Western journalists who don't understand the context of the vertical of power in Russia. But I've seen some takes also from so-called Russian opposition and some in the Navalny group celebrating this as a victory for anti-corruption. That seems to be on two counts wrong. Firstly, that's not what's happening. But also, secondly, if corruption was to be tackled in Russia at this point in time, surely that would simply make the army more efficient at killing, and more efficient at launching aggression against Ukraine.
Well, you answered your question by yourself. I think that fight against corruption in the ranks of Russian army, that actually helps our enemy. That helps to be more efficient to kill more Ukrainians. And I think it's a very wrong idea. And that's one of the source of tensions within Russian opposition, because those people who are really about to help Ukraine and who are doing things to assist the volunteer groups inside Ukrainian army, they unanimously say to Anti-Corruption Foundation, please don't do it. But the good news is that they have nothing to do with what has happened. The origin of this removal is not because of corruption again. And definitely the investigation that Anti-Corruption Foundation published some 2 years ago is not related to what has happened 2 years later. So as usual, they are trying to praise themselves as how efficient they are. They like to boast to their followers, receive more donations because of that. But I think that, well, firstly, it's unrelated, but secondly, it's very much worrying other things that are happening in relation to Anti-Corruption Foundation, because they actually waged the war against other opposition groups right now, and they are trying to use the momentum of the death of a really, great man, Alexei Navalny, his murder in the penal colony in the Arctics, to their political benefit. They are trying to use sympathies which are directed by world leaders towards Yulia Navalny to actually subordinate other parts of the Russian opposition under their umbrella. We at Congress of People's Deputies, from the very beginning, when the whole thing happened with Alexei, we extended our hand and we said, so guys, let's create a coalition of equals. Let's focus on what everybody in the Russian opposition can do most efficiently. Okay, you are about the investigations and fight against the corruption. Khodorkovsky is about connection to business and political elites. We as Congress, we do the legislation, and the resistance groups, they're actually fighting. So let's create a coalition of equals. But no, they want to have a unilateral control, unilateral leadership, and that's all very bad.
Having read quite a few of the, let's say, proposals for how to proceed in a future Russia, it seems that yours is perhaps the only one that deals with the question of the FSB/inheritors of the KGB. Another theory that, and you advocate, I think, for full lustration of the the
That's
existing
correct.
hierarchy. Another theory is that what we're seeing now is a further extension of the police state. If you subscribe to Yuri Felishtinsky's theory, the 90s and the 2000s saw the consolidation of the executive and legislature in the hands of the KGB. Are we now seeing the military also potentially being penetrated and taken over by the security infrastructure?
No, look, Yuri Felshtinsky is my good friend, but I think that in certain cases he overemphasizes one side, which he is particularly interested in and working with as a researcher, the KGB side. My experience being the insider of the government shows that obviously the security forces are extremely influential and extremely important. This is the key cog in this whole mechanism that Putin has created. But whether they are the driving engine, no, they are one of the cogs. Historically, KGB officers, they were people who were handpicked by the Communist Party to execute orders. And don't to think about execution and literal execution people, but in general to following orders of the party, but don't have any own political ideas. Without party control, they all turned to be business people. And they are making money from their influence and from their possibilities, from their armed capacities that they employ. And that's all very bad, but still they are under control of Putin and his inner circle. And his inner circle is not necessarily comprised of just KGB. They represent a lot, but why they are there is not because they are KGB, but because they are Putin's friends. Putin's state is created as a mafia state, and it is a gang. KGB was not a gang; it was still a criminal but state machine. Putin created a mob, a true mob, and he is the godfather of that mob. And the rules of the game are the rules of the game of the mob. And this, to me, is the key difference. So he is selecting people who pledge their loyalty and who remain loyal, and he is very much interested not just in people with big stars on their shoulder plates, but with also people who know how to make money, because money is what motivates him and the circle of his cronies.
That leads very well into my next question, and this is the mafiaization of the Russian economy. We see laws introduced earlier on in the war which stripped Western companies of their assets and handed them to various loyalists. Then laws were introduced to take or confiscate the property of people evading mobilization, leaving the country. It seems now, I get reports from people saying that this is now far more widespread, and it's got to the point where, you know, the scam against Bill Browder and how his companies were stolen. I'm hearing reports about how people are paying money to apparatchiks, getting companies signed over, stripping them of assets. It seems like there's a certain cannibalization taking place as the mafia takes over the last vestiges of sort of genuine businesses or people who could create or run businesses. Do you see this process happening? Do you see it favoring Ukraine if it is true and accelerating?
No, I would say the other way around. You see, we have a history of a similar processes in 1930s under Stalin. There was a system of constant purges when people were arrested, shot, went to labor camps, whatever. And then they were replaced with the younger generation who wanted to take over their positions. And, as cynical as that may sound, that was the way of rotation of the elites. That was the way of what is in the normal democratic society achieved by free and fair elections, during which the elites are rotating and parties are competing, and so the managers are competing with themselves. When there is no free democratic process, then there are purges. And that's what implemented under Stalin, but that's exactly what made Stalin's regime so efficient. Because there was always youngsters. So every time when the previous guy got tired, okay, some false accusations, is being shot, a younger guy comes in, and he is more efficient than the previous one because he has to assume, better performance and better responsibility, otherwise he would never be appointed. And I see a lot of signs in the modern day Putin's regime. Obviously, he is not as cruel, he is not shooting people, but still, these rotations through those purges, is happening, and the younger generation is definitely worse than the older guys. Exactly because they have nowhere to go, but be loyal. So I wouldn't praise the idea of new generation coming in, and to the opposite, when we saw in the Soviet Union during Brezhnev's era, when there was no rotation, when it was sealed, when there was the same people who were for 20 years at the same place, we saw how rapidly Soviet Union deteriorated and eventually collapsed. This gerontocracy, has actually worked against the stability. It worked against the interest of the state. And I think that Putin actually understands this. So I would rather prefer this system of power to be totally stable, totally rigid, because then it would be easier to collapse it.
So if the system is getting potentially more resilient, and of course the Russian economy seems to be more resilient than anyone expected under the weight of full sanctions, we have Russia's grey fleet and this kind of stuff we can turn to in a minute, sanctions busting, but it's therefore the onus is on the US and Europe to support Ukraine with what it needs. So how important is this aid package that's just been passed? And has it been passed just, at the last minute in the nick of time?
Well, it's from this point of view, it's never too late. Because as one of NATO top generals correctly said, if one side shoots at you and another side is not be able to shoot back, this side loses. And we don't want to lose. So we are very thankful for this financial package. It is important. It would help to save a lot of lives. It would help to stabilize the front. So it is extremely important. But there is another question. And what I am also thankful for US congressmen is that they actually made the provision within the bill that the current administration, the White House guys, they need to report to them in 45 days, so by beginning of June, what's the strategy to achieve victory. And this is very important because so far, the only strategy was to try to help Ukraine as much as we can without any clear plan. And you can never win any championship, any competition, if you don't have the measurable results, if you don't know where you're going to, what you need to achieve. And I think that now it has to be a collective exercise, not just by Americans, but also by Ukrainians who need to say, so what's the recipe for the victory? So far, Ukrainians are speaking a lot about so-called formula of peace by Vladimir Zelensky, and it's a great set of 10 very clear and understandable steps that Russia needs to make so that the peace would be established. So it's a great request, but obviously Russia is not going to grant it. And that's why the Kremlin says, we are not part of this process. We are not going to go to Switzerland where they're going to discuss this great formula of peace by Vladimir Zelensky. We don't want to know anything about this formula, and definitely we are not going to implement it. So without that, we need to have another document. What we need to do to actually enforce Putin to start implementing this formula. And so far, such a document was never produced by any of the sides, neither by Ukraine, nor by the United States, nor by United Kingdom, nor by European Union, and nor by NATO. And that's all very, very bad. And I would even say that our Congress of People's Deputies, which is the shadow Russian parliament, we are going to produce such document by ourselves. and publish it as our view of how the victory can be achieved, and then distribute it for consideration of the global powers and Ukraine, so maybe they would find it useful in their endeavors.
And of course, this idea of victory is incredibly important. But it has seemed that over the last sort of 6 to 8 months, many in the Republican Party have seen their advantage in blocking the bill for domestic political reasons. There seems to have been a dramatic change, both that's apparent from the voting, but also in some of the rhetoric we're seeing. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation about what's caused this. I'm not sure there's a clear answer. What's your view on what has caused this dramatic change by Speaker Mike Johnson and even some of the rhetoric that we've seen from Donald Trump?
Well, I was in communication with Trump's team throughout recent week, which preceded the voting. And firstly, I want to totally testify that at the beginning of the week, nobody in Washington, D.C. expected that by the end of the week, they're going to pass this bill. There were another concerns. There were weeps that, okay, so it can be another postponed for another 2 weeks after the Passover holidays, and that there would be no session. There was a lot of concerns, and nobody expected the Speaker of the House of Representatives to actually make the session on Saturday, to organize this voting late in the evening, by the way. This was like, 9-10 p.m. when they did vote on this, so it was quite late. And who actually organized this whole thing? It was Donald Trump, ironically. Yes, it was him, his people, who were the main roadblock to put this bill to vote in the very first place. They were directly blackmailing Speaker Johnson that he's going to be fired if he would put the bill on the floor. But at the same time, it was Donald Trump who met with the same Mike Johnson and said, I give my personal guarantees that you will not be fired until the end of this Congress in November, and the rotation would be in January. The voting would be in November. So, which was very important. What persuaded Donald Trump? Even inner members of his team cannot answer clearly. So some suggest that what we wanted to show who is the boss. Some of them suggest that it was inevitable that it would eventually get through, so it's better be us, so that we can, for different audiences, for certain audiences, we would say, you see that our guys in Congress, they voted against, but for other audiences, we would say that it was us, thanks to whom, in general, it got through. So you can communicate to both constituents. Obviously, Democrats are saying otherwise. They say it's all because of them, but it is for them, why didn't it happen before? Obviously, it was not because of Democrats. It was because of the Republicans who have the majority in the House. So why did it happen? Also, I think that we definitely need to give special thanks to two particular guys. One of them is David Cameron, who came to speak to Trump about this. And again, to my knowledge from that team, there were certain important arguments that were delivered to the former president. But also it was a pretty emotional request on behalf of Andrzej Duda, the president of Poland, who obviously told Trump that all polls are for you, Mr. Trump, that we will vote for you, etc., etc. But please help us with our security, because if Ukraine would be defeated, Poles would be exposed to the Russia's invasion, and now it's all in your hands. And Mr. Trump was so glad that Poles would vote for him that he said, yes, of course, I would help. It's also a suggestion like this.
And of course, voting intentions are important. It has potentially been shown that there's a sizable number of Republicans who wouldn't vote for him if, aid was blocked further. Ukraine potentially defeated. This is a negative issue and could be thrown back at him. So I can see, internal issues, internal politics may still play a role. But that's not the only problem we have here. You very clearly articulated that there is no clear sense of what a victory means. In fact, there seems to be a fear of a substantial victory for Ukraine, a
Mhm.
fear of Russian collapse. It's been labeled as escalation management. I tend to be a little harsher. I call it escalation appeasement. And that seems to be quite deeply embedded within the Democrat National Security team. And there are rather problematic advisors who, on occasion, turn up to the White House to give their opinions. And these individuals are shown to repeat extremely Kremlin-friendly narratives. I won't name those individuals, but I'm sure you know who I mean. Now the Republicans seem to be on board with supporting Ukraine. Is this going to force the issue and force a far more focused view, a far more concentrated view of what it takes to deliver victory?
Well, I think that you are right on spot with the question of what's the national interest of the United States and other members of NATO in regard to this war. What's the potential outcome and what are the potential risks? And this risk-reward analysis is something that was never, to my knowledge, never done. Maybe it was done, totally confidentially, but at least it was never disclosed. And, to my knowledge, it was not done. At least it was not done on the serious level. There are a lot of fears, there are a lot of prejudices. Sometimes they result in some uglier events, like just a couple of days ago, there was a voting in the European Parliament, which in general was very positive because it was a decision to stop recognizing Putin as the president of Russia, denounce him of any legitimacy, and calling for national governments of the European Union to suspend talking to this government, except for humanitarian purposes and peace talks. Which was very positive. This is something that Russian opposition was calling for many times, and Congress of People's Deputies was one of the key forces, to request this. But at the same time, certain NGOs, which were controlled by the US government eventually, actually did their best and used their influence on former Lithuanian Prime Minister Andris Kubilius, who was the chief rapporteur for Russian issues in the European Parliament, to cut off the provision in the adopted bill that was calling to support Russian resistance groups, which are fighting against Putinism. It was introduced, this provision was introduced by the Polish delegation, led by former Minister of Foreign Affairs and Presidential Chief of Staff of Poland, Anna Fotyga, and was stating clearly that we need to support all Russians who resist, including non-violent protests, but also those Russians who are in the front lines and at the home front, actually fighting with Putinism. So the chief of the task force, which was developing the text, Kubilius, said, no, we shouldn't do it. And we know how it happened. It happened because of the signals from Washington, D.C. And it was more than that. The National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, was visiting Kiev recently, and he explicitly asked Ukrainian government, firstly, to suspend attacks on Russian oil refineries, but secondly, to stop operations on the Russian territory that has been conducted by this Russian regiment. Obviously, this request was denied, and the operation continued, but the very fact that there are tensions like this is very alarming. And I think that it's quite natural for any bureaucracy to fear the unknown. So I take no evil against Mr. Sullivan. I understand his point of view as a bureaucrat. But if such paper would have been produced, if all risk and rewards, pros and contras would be analyzed, then it would have been way easier to make the right decision. And then everybody would see what are the negative consequences of such operations on the Russian territory and what are the positive consequences. We could debate all this. It could be done together between all the NATO allies and Ukraine. You know, it could be different data being exchanged between the military guys. And then we are making the decision and we are following the decision. Now everybody is doing everything on its own. And as the result, there are these contradictions, arguments, it backfires on us, and it's all not good.
It seems the Republicans don't have the same concept of red lines, though, so that potentially is an area of pressure they can apply. Mitch McConnell very pointedly said that he sees no issue with striking Russian, not just refining capacity, but oil storage capacity. One could extend that perhaps to pipelines, delivery, and crude exports, ports as well, which could be extremely effective in throttling Russia's war economy. So if the Republicans don't have those red lines, it seems the British and French also are not as concerned either. And that also covers the operations of some of the people you speak for, who are the Free Russian Battalions. It seems, however, Berlin, despite providing huge quantities of munitions, does have problems with operations that are not on the sovereign territory of Ukraine, and of course is still denying Taurus as a capability. How important is it to really turn both democratic minds in Washington, but also people in Berlin to turn those two scenarios around?
Oh, well, people in Berlin, I think they are emotionally under all those fears that are being derived from the ages of World War II. And they are very much afraid of any sort of confrontation with Russia. And I totally understand their emotions. And I am emotionally, again, as Russian, I would definitely not like to see German tanks on the Russian territory, even driven by Ukrainians, just emotionally. And this is a sensitive issue for my family, you know, for my other relatives, you know, for myself, for my upbringing, and I am certain that it's the same for Germans. But I am not asking them to do it. I am asking them to stop blocking it and let others do it. Ukrainians are ready for this, and they have all the capacity. They have trained people. They have knowledge of Russia. They have stamina. They have passion. You know, so let's help them. And it is a difference. It is a nuance which I think is not understood well by many of the Western politicians. They always say like we shouldn't do this and that, and I always telling them I'm not asking you to do this and that. I am asking you to stop obstructing me from doing this and that, and I want you to help me in mobilizing more Russians to do what we Russians have to do, because crushing Putinism, destroying this ugly system, ruining the empire, and creating a free democratic state, it's our cause. Russians, you know, I'm not asking Americans to come and to help me in Moscow, you know, but you know, to do this, we need to have certain tools in our hands. These tools can be provided only at one source, at Ukraine, and Ukraine is willing to do it, but like looks like everybody around Ukraine is doing their best to prevent us from doing so. And speaking about the internal situation in the United States, I can tell you again from like gazillion negotiations, constant negotiations, and interactions that we have with the American establishment. I would say that our best enemies are Republicans and our best friends are Republicans. Just we are talking to different people in the Republican establishment, but there are very strong isolationist tendencies. And it's very ironic because I always was speaking against all signs, indications, flavors of imperialism, including American imperialism. And to me, this appeal for isolationism, in this sense, should be very, very positive. Because okay, the guys don't want to interfere in other nations' deeds. They want to concentrate on their own country. I praise this. But we are asking for it. It's not them who are imposing their views on us. We are asking them to help. In this situation, there is no imperialism. It's a solidarity, and I think that again, this is the threshold. This is a nuance that many politicians they don't get. Yeah, like classical Reagan-style Republicans, they say yes, we do understand, and they formally they control the Foreign Policies Committee, they control the Armed Services Committee, they control the Intelligence Committee. It's these people, and they were speaking in public, but they cannot overcome the opposition within their own party. And so by the last voting, we saw that their faction in the House of Representatives is split almost exactly in half for the isolationism and half for interventionism. Democrats, they never paid much of attention to military conflicts and again to armed resistance, this kind of things. They were always more concentrated on human rights, but this time has passed. We should have done this earlier. They actually neglected the situation back in the beginning of 2000s when Obama was in power, and I remember I was talking to Obama several times in person, and he was a very nice guy, but he always said to me openly that, Ilya, I'm sorry, but we have other priorities dealing with Russia. We understand everything that you are saying about undemocratic nature of the regime and the abuses and political prisoners and whatever, but we have other priorities, and I'm frank telling you that we're like morally on your side, but practically we will do nothing. Okay, so now we came to the situation when we need to take arms in our hands. It's not our choice. It's not our preference. We would never want this, but right now we are given no other option.
And here we are in the third year of a huge war on the territory of Europe, not far from sort of comfortable European lives and capitals. And it seems both the isolationists and some of the Democrats, even now, seem to think that this is a local, isolated conflict. In the last part of the interview, I want to turn to escalation of Russian aggression. I would even call it Russian imperialism across the African continent. You have the Grey Fleet transversing through the Baltic. It's now being shown that many of those contain the equipment to do fairly substantial spying at scale. You have the jamming of 46,000 commercial airliners in European airspace, potentially creating an air catastrophe. You have the Grey Fleet that could potentially create a marine catastrophe, and you have insurrections where the fingerprints of Wagner are very closely associated across sub-Saharan Africa. And clearly, a huge amount of money and support is being earned from that, and also being pumped into that to increase, Russian influence across Africa and to increase, I would say, the prevalence of despotism and autocracy and drive out rule of law. How do we get the message across that this is a global conflict which people understood during the Cold War but don't seem to understand now?
How to deliver the message? I would better ask you. You are the communication specialist here. You are in the West. I am a humble resistance fighter.
Is it accurate though? I mean, all these things that I raised as concerns, are these real concerns that we should be paying more attention to?
No, they are absolutely real. And I think that one of my not so distant relatives in the past was Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in charge of international relations. So he was the boss of Communist International. And at that time, I believe in his times, it was 1960s, 1970s, it was already pretty toothless, but still it was considered to be the major threat, Cold War, huge budgets, CIA, other countries, serious stuff. Right now, there is a conscious strategy to rebuild the international, but if that communist international was at least masqueraded by good intentions and the global fight for peace, and solidarity and workers' union, etc., then right now it's an openly, it started as conservative international, of anti-liberal international to be exact, not conservative, but anti-liberal international. Now it's openly a dictatorship international. Now it's North Korea, it's Iran, it's the ugliest regimes of Africa, many other stuff.
China is not exactly
Venezuela.
neutral, is it? I mean, China's not exactly neutral. It is supplying Russia with extensive military equipment.
With China, it's a bit not black and white to me. I think that Chinese are smart enough to understand the degree of their dependency from the global trade, and in particular with the United States. And I think that in their mind, they're rather neutral. Because, they are benefiting a lot from Russia's problems, and they are getting bargain prices for many of the natural resources, and they now received a huge export market inside Russia, which was vacated by the Western companies in many industries, and they do sell a lot of stuff of dual purpose that Russians are using in their military production, but China to the country from Iran or North Korea is not selling weapons to Russia. And I think that calculation of Chinese is simple, that whatever the outcome of the war, the Chinese would benefit. If Russia is victorious, that means that NATO is significantly weakened, and then it's a green light to annexing Taiwan. If Russia loses, then it's green light to take over Siberia. In both cases, it's like a win-win situation. So for them to run ahead of the train, and help Putin, it doesn't make any sense. It just risks. But said that, I think that Putin is obviously cooperating with Chinese politically, and he is using whatever political influence he has internationally to assist Chinese. And here also Chinese are not so good in building political relationships with other nations. They always make their expansion through cheap loans, which then turn to be the levers of their influence. For example, right now they have a pretty strained relationship with aforementioned Venezuela, because Venezuela is hugely indebted for Chinese and cannot repay the loans. And that's why they're not talking that much anymore. And here Russia is coming handy, because Russia is ready to forgive whatever debt. It's a tradition. Russia always trades the finance for the political influence, and with the private military companies that you are mentioning that are de facto under control of Russia's military intelligence, but formerly private actors, that also helps particular dictators and particular bad guys in different parts of the world to achieve their political objectives, and China can use it to their benefit as well, and that's what they do. So the world should understand where the main warmongers are. Chinese are there to stay, and they were always very self-centered, very egocentric in their approaches, but they were never aggressive towards the rest of the world. It's not in their mentality. For Putin, that's a totally different case. And that's why I think it shouldn't be just left alone. I think that the fundamental reforms of Russian statehood obviously needs to be done jointly. And we should put a clear objective that as the result of this reform, this last empire should cease to exist. It should be a normal national state, which has to be a part of the Western world and not a part of Chinese influence, but it should be a part of the Western world and ideally part of the European Union and NATO and other global alliances. That would work in everybody's benefit. But to achieve this, we need to establish, certain rules of the game, rule of law inside the country, certain political system. We should encourage the development in the proper direction.
Well, the very last question, because you've been tremendously generous with your time, and of course, Putin is not yet defeated. He seems to have consolidated his power within Russia for the moment itself. And his strategy always seems to escalate. He sees that many in the West are always behind that escalation, rather trying to get ahead of the game. So what happens next with that escalation? Is Kazakhstan and Central Asia at risk? Is Georgia, Armenia at risk? Moldova, the Baltics? What is Putin going to do next to get the resources, the money, the bodies he needs to continue the forever war and to continue the aggression that he started?
I think that short term, he is focused on getting advances in Ukraine, especially in Donbass, because he wants to strengthen his negotiation position, expecting Trump to win, and that Trump would force Ukraine to sit down and negotiate. So Putin wants to fully control so-called Donetsk People Republic, and then make Kherson and Zaporizhia the bargaining chips. I think that's his tactics for now. And Putin in general is a very tactical person. But also, I would expect this year additional destabilization in Moldova because they are facing elections, and right now the Kremlin is visually investing in the Moldovan opposition. And I think they would play on the separatism also because Gagauzia there is a vulnerable point. And in general, for them, even from military standpoint, Transnistria is an important asset. I always wonder why Moldovans resist. There was an idea coming from Ukraine, so let's liberate Transnistria. But I think that Moldovans probably are afraid that Ukraine would liberate Transnistria and keep it for itself, which I don't think would be the case. But nevertheless, I think it should have been done long time anyway. So I think that Kremlin would play there, but a little bit more in the middle term perspective. I think you absolutely correctly said that Kazakhstan is one of the potential options, and they have good battleground for this to start from. Then obviously it's NATO. I think that Putin is enough of a gambler to actually to provoke something which would allow such members of NATO as Hungary or Slovakia say that it's not enough ground for Article 5, and Putin would be interested in, let's say, Lithuanians or Latvians or Poles, to call for implementation of Article 5. And then when others deny this, that basically means the end of NATO as we know it as a defensive alliance, which gives this unconditional support for the member states. I think that's more or less Putin's strategy, but I think something that he really wants, he wants firstly to settle with Ukraine under pressure, from the United States, then reinforce, realign, replenish the stockpiles of the military equipment, and only then 1, 2, 3 years later start doing something on the western flank. But it's definitely a threat. It's definitely a threat which we need to take very seriously.
And that underlines why Ukrainian victory within its sovereign borders is so important. Ilya, thank you so much for sharing all of this detail with the audience. I know it's going to be greatly appreciated. And of course, good luck with the incredible work you're doing there in Washington to try and get allies to unite behind Ukrainian victory. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I already need to go back to Ukraine, thanks God. But thank you very much.